This is lesson number 9, so the last one in this particular course. Today we're going to be looking at brand promotions. We've already been looking at about going into new markets. We've been looking at new products, but what we're going to be looking at is actually sort of effectively creating a brand. Whenever kind of promotion that we're actually looking at doing, the brand is what is the thing that is pushing us towards it. It's got to create the image that we require. So we're going to be looking about how is that done. Brand, a name, term, sign, symbol, design, or a combination of them intended to identify the goods or services of one group or group of sellers to differentiate them from those of the competitor. And don't forget, in anything that we're doing, we always have some form of competitors. We would like to maybe assume sometimes very wrongly that our product is certainly unique. Maybe it does have some unique facets, but there are always other things where there are competitors. An example of that, I suppose, is Tesla. We understand that Tesla is one of the few electric, maybe a few years ago anyway, the electric car manufacturers with a stylish car. But who are the competitors? People think, oh, there's no other particular electric car as stylish as this or that. But they still have competitors. BMW, Audi, Jag, any other car of a similar kind is still a competitor, because you could still not buy a Tesla and you could buy another car instead, even if it's not electric. So again, things to consider. The role of the brand. Well, originally, if you think about what a brand was, the branding iron, the thing that burnt the name of the ranch into the cow, like you've seen in all those Western movies. Well, that was done to identify the source or the maker. In the case of that, it was the source. Where did that cow come from? The idea for us in our terms is it simplifies our decision making. When we're going somewhere, we see a particular brand or various options of products or services. Which ones do we want to? Well, I don't know that one. There's a risk. Are you going to get what you want, what it is, how you don't know? My perfect example of that was when I was in Istanbul. I was in Taksim Square and I had to eat something. Okay, I was hungry, so I decided to eat something. Masses of restaurants, all of which I did not know. And then I saw McDonald's. Now, I'll be honest, I am not a fan of McDonald's. But I knew what I was getting at McDonald's. Before I walked in the place, I knew the menu. I knew roughly what the price was going to be. Cheap. I knew the kind of quality, everything else. I knew what the seating would be like. I knew what the service would be like. So I knew that beforehand. Whereas if I looked at all the other restaurants, I had no idea. I didn't know if there was a service charge, what the prices might be. Would I be able to read the menu? Would I like the food? I knew nothing. In other words, it made things easier for me and it reduced the risk. There was no risk. I didn't going into somewhere, maybe either getting something I didn't like or getting ripped off or whatever. So again, they're the benefits to us as consumers. Now, for the marketer, certainly for the people who are marketing the brands, well, simplify product handling, protect the unique features, create loyalty, and establish barriers to entry. So certainly looking at the loyalty is perhaps very important, because that's perhaps the main reason why we have this behind the brands is, and I think Apple is perhaps one of the better examples of that. Once people have got onto Apple, any new product that comes out by Apple, they tend to stick with that. If they decide they want a new laptop, it'll be an Apple. If the new phone, it'll be an Apple. If they bring out TV, they would probably buy the Apple one. So it gets people not just buying one particular product for $400 or $1,000, but all their lifetime. People stay with that, and obviously that is worth a lot of money. It's not just a case of we have a product now that is worth so much and how many we can sell. It also means that future products that are coming out we can also sell. Why? Purely because of the brand. Now, this restricts other companies coming in to these kind of products because, well, no, that brand has already got it covered. And sometimes, though, it can be quite strange. An example of this was many years ago when the vacuum cleaner was first introduced. It was by a brand called Hoover. And the first vacuum cleaners in the UK that did this were the brand Hoover. So much so that for decades afterwards, any new vacuum cleaner that came out, be it Electrolux or I don't know, any other brand, LG, people said, I've got an Electrolux Hoover. The name, the Hoover, literally became a synonym for vacuum cleaner. It didn't become a brand of that. So if you can get to that, great. But certainly for competitors, the idea is once they are established, it's very difficult for somebody else to take over a well-established brand. So the scope, it's to create differences between the products. In other words, we have a particular t-shirt and another t-shirt with a crocodile brand on it. We can differentiate between them, can we? Because of that, we do make assumptions, obviously, on brands that because it has the crocodile logo, the Lacoste, it's better produced, it's more this, it's more whatever. Maybe it's the image of it. This shows that I can spend 120 euros on a t-shirt, maybe. But again, it creates the difference between them because one is considered better than the other. Not always the case, but there we go. Brand equity is the added value endowed on products and services because of the brand. People do tend to think of a particular brand if it's better made or it's better this or that. Going back to the Lacoste t-shirt, I have various t-shirts, including several Lacoste t-shirts, which somebody bought for me. And I have other t-shirts that I know for a fact were much cheaper, and they don't have the crocodile logo on, and yet on close analysis there's no actual difference between them. And I've checked, same size and similar colour, the stitching, the thickness of the material, etc. I've analysed them quite closely. Cannot find any difference really, any tangible difference between them. The difference is that one costs $39.99 and the other costs, I think, 99 or 89, 90 euros. Well over double, and I cannot see any tangible differences between them. Therefore, that extra value is based purely on one thing. It's on the little crocodile logo, and they don't cost 50 euros to make. But it's what else do we get with it? It's the image factor, maybe. It's other things that go along with it. But that really is just created in the mind of the consumer, of this added value, and it's not actually anything tangible. So the differences in our consumer response. Well, the things that we say we know about the brand, things that we know about the brand. I know that Apple is a superior brand, maybe. And then we've got sort of perceptions and beliefs, what again people believe about it. So the brand knowledge tends to be more tangible, and then perceptions and belief and values, they're not. They are very intangible, how we feel about a particular brand, what we think the brand means. And do we really think that if somebody's buying something of a more expensive brand that it makes them more sophisticated? Is that what it means? No, it doesn't. It just means they've got more money. If it has a brand on it, it's kind of a promise, if you think about it, what it is, that anything that comes out now with an Apple on it, it's automatically assumed to be high-tech, innovative, very well functioning, etc., etc. Lots of things that go with it. So it's by putting their brand on it, you are effectively giving out the promise to the consumer that you are following in the things that we've promised previously on other products. And how the consumer then perceives that product to be. In other words, what it must be and do for the consumer just by having that brand on it. And people do think, no, that brand would never do anything, whatever. I think an example of that, going back to cars, was Aston Martin. Now, if I say Aston Martin to you, the brand Aston Martin, which is associated obviously with James Bond from years ago, we have Aston Martin Racing. They're back in Formula One now. It's a racing car, it's a sports car, it's a gentleman's car, it's a sophisticated car. It's all of these things. And yet they came out with a Signet. The Aston Martin stuck that badge on another car, which the Signet is something a bit like a smart car. If I remember rightly, it was a derivative of Toyota IO. Tiny little two-door car, not a sports car at all. And for someone, and literally, if someone had said, I have an Aston Martin, then showed me that, I would have said, you don't have an Aston Martin. You have a Toyota IO with an Aston Martin badge on it. In other words, it's effectively, I won't say it goes as far as say insulting the consumer, but it's certainly disappointing the consumer by putting that brand on something that is not what that brand stands for. It's like what they have to do. Well, as far as I'm concerned, what Aston Martin has to do is to produce fantastic quality luxury sports cars or sporty cars or GTs, Gran Turismos. That's what they have to do. Except they have a four-door one, but it's still a sporty, nice-looking car, very fast. But that's what it has to do because it has their brand on it. So we as the consumer, we have high expectations of our brands. You cannot disappoint us. Now, brand has lots of other associations. If you consider Rolex, where's Rolex from? It's from Switzerland. And again, that in itself, the fact that it is Swiss made, that is an extra backup to the brand. And that means so much more as well in certain things. It's like the best watches are Swiss. The best medicines are German. The best, I don't know, overcoats are British. The best fast food is American. Come on, help me out here. But certain geographic reasons have certain things that we understand. Egyptian linen, Chinese tea, etc. You can all think of what a particular region is renowned for. I suppose fashion would be Italy, perfume would be France. So again, there are these things that are associated. They're secondary, but if we see Chanel, Chanel French, and that's right, French perfume with Chanel. Maybe it can be linked with other brands that are similar. Characters, when we're doing promotions, especially, we may use particular characters that are work with us. The spokespeople, sporting events. We've got some examples here. Secondary sources of brand knowledge, where we get our knowledge from for a particular brand. Where does it come from? Well, other brands, alliances, ingredients, companies, the country of origin, the channels it gets through to get to you, maybe causes and events, maybe certain people who either endorse it or employees. I suppose if we look at that for a minute of personalities, okay, endorsers. If we go with Nespresso, George Clooney. If we're thinking of secondary association, Apple, Steve Jobs. If we do the one that we did in the last example with, I know we put a tiger in your tank, so no, we won't use that one. The other tiger, the cereals, where it's Tony the Tiger for a cereal, I've forgotten which one. Right, positioning. The act of designing a company's offering and image to occupy a distinctive place in the mind of the target market. In other words, all our idea of our advertising is to get out there to install a little sort of grain in the mind of the consumer of what it is that we are about. Not exactly what the product does for us, but it's more than that. It's what it means to us. It's not the fact that it's a particular type of product. This is image, it's sophistication, it's status. So a lot of these things are not actually tangible. So we've got to get, in other words, if somebody, especially if they're paying a lot more money for something, we've got to be very careful with this, that what it is we want them to assume maybe because they're paying so much money. So we've got to position it that this is a sophisticated, advanced, or whatever kind of product. So a well-differentiated brand must have keen understanding of consumers' wants and needs, what we can produce, the capabilities, and the competitive actions. In other words, what the competitors are doing. So we can see here between fairly good price and fairly good quality, it tends to be that, as we would consider, the higher the price, the better the quality. So it should be sort of along a diagonal line somewhere between the center and the outside. But some have a higher price and maybe not a particularly good quality. We've got some here that are low quality, high price, low quality, low price. Now, whatever it is that we're bringing out, we have what is called a frame of reference in relation to our competitors. In other words, where we are in comparison to all our many competitors. It's we're better than those, or as good as this, and maybe not as good as that. And that is determined in many respects by things like prices. So what we have to do first is identify our competitors and then start analyzing them. So we've got to decide which category that we belong to, which group of products do we belong. So it could include all the products in that, anything that could serve as a substitute. Remember when I was saying about the car, the Tesla? Well, they're still comparing to regular cars because it could do the job as a substitute. If you didn't have a Tesla and somebody said, well, no, the Tesla's broken down, I've only got my Mercedes. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't go anywhere, it's not a Tesla. Well, it would substitute. Yeah. So with that, then you can analyze the competitors and then start defining or analyzing a more narrow group. So to establish a brand position, we've got to communicate the following. Well, first off, the category membership. What groups do we belong to? What are the benefits of this? Compare ours to the exemplars, in other words, the good ones, and a product distributor. This helps us establish what group that we belong to. Where are we members? What category? And then within that, then we can start doing points of parity, things that people expect, and points of difference. So going back to the Tesla thing, this is perhaps it was a good example of that, because certainly up until that point, if you looked at electric cars, I'm sort of generalizing a bit, but if you remember a lot of the other earlier electric cars, they had the points of difference covered. Yeah, it's an electric car, doesn't use petrol, connected, etc. That's fine. But the points of parity where it didn't look similar to regular cars, and they didn't. First off, it was usually fairly boxy kind of design, not an attractive car. It had a very short range, so 50 or 100 kilometers away from where you were going and back again, and that was it. And in other words, it didn't have enough points of parity. It wasn't too much like the thing it was trying to replace, and therefore it was very difficult to break into that market because there were too many substitutes that did a better job. And by better, I don't mean necessarily less pollutant, but I mean it got people further away or faster or whatever. And that was the problem. The advantage of what Tesla did was the points of parity actually looked like a regular car. In fact, it actually looked like a regular nice car. So it had a lot more parity, certainly similarity of look, design-wise, with, say, a Mercedes, a BMW, or an Audi. Or Jag, let's not just stick with Germans. And of course it was able to had a similar kind of performance in the sense that the actual distance you could drive the thing. So you could actually go from one city to another rather than just round the local town. So again, the points of parity can be just as important, and these have to be communicated. We understand the differences. So again, you have to communicate where it's different, better, cheaper, faster, whatever than the competition, but also the fact that it is still this, and this, like the competition. And we want to look at some of the things, when we're looking at luxury brands, a lot of the things that we have here don't necessarily apply to luxury brands, if you think about it. When we were doing this, we were looking at particular, because obviously the brand is the big thing, and a brand is quite delicate. But if it is a luxury one, because associated with that, what we know we're not going to get with a luxury brand is 20% off. Why? Because the people that are buying these things are not buying that particular brand because it's cheap. they're buying something else. Why is somebody buying a Rolex? They're certainly not buying a Rolex because it's cheap. And they're not buying a Rolex because, oh, they're offering a discount. I think I'll buy a Rolex today. If you're spending 8,000 or 9,000 euros on a Rolex, it's not because it's 500 euros cheaper than last week. The reasons you're buying it are different. You're buying it because of the image and the name that goes with it and what it means. If you're buying it as a gift, it's so that you can really show, wow, that person bought me a Rolex. So the name in itself is that. Lamborghini. If you're spending 300,000 on a Lamborghini, I should have put Aston Martin up here somewhere. I didn't. I put Jaguar. I'm going to change this and put Aston Martin up. But if someone's going out to buy a Lamborghini, similar thing. You don't see Lamborghinis advertised on television of offering free extra pack when you buy today, because those things are kind of already expected. So now that we've looked at the brands, what brands are, what brands mean, how important they are, how valuable they are. In other words, especially what put on by us. And I'll be honest, it has been discussed outside, sort of in the real trade press, that many luxury brands are overvalued. Because the idea of the valuation is the valuation is based on what they will be doing in the future, rather than anything more intrinsic or substantial. Now, if you can't do these things like discounts, 3 for the price of 2, 2 for the price of 1, how can you do any kind of promotions? Well, how do you promote these things? How can you do it? What kind of promotions can you use? I'll leave that with you for a second while you just think about that. What can you do? How can you promote these kind of brands? Gucci, Rolex, Lamborghini. So we're looking at luxury items. What is luxury? If we can't just say it's superior quality, because that's not the case. If you look at some of the things on here, it doesn't necessarily mean something is, the fact that it's expensive is that it is of superior quality. It does not naturally follow. I suppose the handbags is a good example of that. And I did actually have a student who spent 3,200 euros on a handbag, and it was actually poor quality. She did tell me the name of the brand, but I've forgotten. It was one, not a particular well-known one, but obviously supposedly very expensive, but not good quality. So it doesn't always follow. It's not what you're getting. I understand there was the Pagani Zonda sports car. Well, they had a tendency for the engine to blow up. Not exactly what you want in a $6 million car. So, definitions. If everyone owns a particular brand, it is by definition not luxury. Now, which again, if you think about it, is the idea of promotions maybe is to sell more stuff, to get more people buying your stuff. But the more people that buy it, the less luxurious it becomes. Luxury is partly linked to the lack of people being able to have it or get it or whatever. So you're almost competing against yourself. Luxury is about the quantity or a vast array of expensive goods. Luxury is partly derived from technical superiority, partly derived from unique craftsmanship. Luxury is to protect certain social status or wealth. It's to satisfy certain role-playing aspects where we play our role in society. Luxury is to satisfy an emotional desire with subjective, intangible benefits. The last one, it's there, isn't it? Subjective, one person's idea of it, and another is totally different. Not necessarily the same. Intangible, it's not something you can actually put your finger on. So it's like, what is it? So brand marketing in the luxury business is tricky. It means sometimes creating desire for things that no one really needs and charges a lot of money for them. Does anybody really need a Lamborghini? We need transport. Maybe we need to get there fairly quickly, but I don't think we need to be in a car where we're 5 centimeters above the floor and doing 350 kilometers an hour. But we want it. So in economic terms, luxury products are those who can consistently command and justify a higher price than products with comparable function and similar quality. There we go. In marketing terms, luxury products are those who can deliver emotional benefits, which is hard to match by comparable products. Emotional benefits. Makes us feel good. It makes us feel something. It's an emotional feeling. And it is. I've driven quite a few Porsche. I've had 3 Porsches in my lifetime, and I'll have to admit, just the fact of getting in a Porsche did make me feel good. It was definitely an emotional thing. Even before literally I turned over the engine, as soon as I turned over the engine, more emotion. 5.2 litre engine in it. But yes, there was that. So it's definitely the case that that's what brands do. So we're looking at the journey of a luxury customer. Now, obviously these are for particular brands, but it just gives you some idea of what it is people go through before they buy. So it shows the stages of the luxury customer's interaction with the brand. So it starts out where they actually have to find out about it, the awareness, then it goes through the explore and consider, the moment of sale, and then eventually becoming loyal. So obviously in each stage we have particular touch points that have to be considered. So if we have a look at those, we have Dior, Audi, Hermes, and Harley Davidson. Awareness, witnessing, media influence, television, Bollywood even, social media, viral, YouTube, street impressions, word of mouth, becoming inspired, prefer products to others, right, becoming aware of something. Next one, explore and consider what the touch points are, what they would have to do. So again, you've got the research, reviews, blogs, media, forums, brochures, company websites, arriving at the showroom, browsing, presenting, sound branding, the sound of an Audi, learning, maybe taking the product for a test drive, things like that. The salesperson, they're actually going to make an emphasis, a very important touch point. They're the ones that can explain things that maybe the customer doesn't know. Moment of sale, the actual purchasing, the showroom, the salesperson again, the product, the price, financial services about how you would buy it, keys, manuals, etc. And then loyalty, using it, the product after sales, phone service, warranties, incredibly important. Reflection, replacing, client contact, sharing, social media, networks, forums, belonging to a group, all of these kind of things. So what tends to happen, the journey goes from aspiration, in other words, you aspire to own one, a bit like me and my damned Aston Martin. Consideration, where you are considering and actually becoming an owner and buying one, to becoming a brand advocate, where you are able to promote the brand for the good that it has done you, and that's all. So that would take you forward. As you can see on the bottom, there is another line, dissatisfaction, not satisfied, takes you backwards. So building loyalty, we'll look at Harley Davidson. Now, it definitely is a luxury product because it's incredibly expensive. It's far more expensive than a regular bike. And it sort of built up this specific image of what goes with it. So it says most customers forget about the customers the moment the transaction has been completed. Harley Davidson organises rides and events that give bike lovers a brand new ownership experience. Harley dealers act as sponsors of local Harley owners group, the HARG chapters, creating a forum for bike owners to meet, interact and share their passion for biking within a community. So this is creating a community around the product. But interestingly enough, it goes beyond that a little bit more, because the majority of profits made by Harley Davidson are not from the motorcycles. It's from the merchandising. And that in itself is hugely important, because although we consider it, say, like the main product is the Harley Davidson, it shows it's far even more important the community around it and all the other stuff. Because after all, how many times are you going to buy a motorbike? Probably once every I don't know, a few years. But how often are you going to buy the jackets and the gloves and the trousers and the cups, and you could even have a mouse mat with a Harley on it. And they have done such a good job of this that the people who are the Harley owners, and many who aren't even that are at the aspirational stage at least, they're not restricted from not having the product because it's too expensive. There are so many additional things that they can have and then aspire to owning the actual Harley Davidson motorbike one day. So it's a way of sort of running promotions without actually interfering in the value of the core product. Interesting idea. So through HOG, the Harley Owners Group, Harley Davidson is able to forge a deep loyalty in its customer base, making it easy for Harley owners to recruit friends into the fold as well. They have a ready-made platform in their motorcycle boot camp, an immersive experience designed to create high levels of aspiration for the brand. So in a similar vein, Harley Rock Riders bring together more potential for existing riders. Live concert events, conceptualized by Harley Davidson and Rolling Stone, combine live rock music with a celebration of Harley values. So it's a holistic experience that nurtures their own particular cultural relationship with the brand. Audi. So, maximizing purchase considerations. Audi, the German car brand, invests heavily in creating awareness and pull for its autos through advertising, sponsorship, and publicity. But where Audi has really excelled in developing an engaging experience for customers online, both offline, through the design of its dealerships and online by means of a 3D campaign for the launch of the new A8L model. Potential buyers feel the brand's sportiness, progressiveness, and style throughout the experience, not just in the cars themselves. The spacious showroom is minimalist in design but luxurious in feel. Every detail, from the flowers used in the vases to the kind of coffee served, have been carefully managed to craft an Audi brand experience for customers. Audi call this a terminal concept that combines the efficiency, performance, luxury, and environmental theme of its brand. I think terminal maybe connected with an airport or something, I don't know. So display areas have been designed to maximize customer interaction with the vehicles without the need for a salesperson. Shoppers can drop off their children in the play area or stop at the cafeteria and a snack. And they can also buy a variety of Audi branded merchandise. Small consolation for those who can't afford the actual car. So the launch of an Audi A8L was particularly innovative. The company created one of the world's first integrated 3D campaign to allow potential buyers to live the brand even if they couldn't physically test drive the vehicle. So a 3D film shows the car in all its beauty, and a microsite permits users to learn about the model. Traffic to the microsite was driven by a direct marketing campaign in which custom-made, high-quality Audi anaglyphic 3D glasses and 3D car brochures were sent to prospective buyers, inviting them to explore the new model. So put it on and you can explore it in your living room. Both the film and the web experience are further developed on touchscreens and 3D screens in showrooms. Wow. So another way of doing something to promote it, certainly in this case for a launch of a new product. Rolex. Now we already understand it's very difficult to do any kind of promotions for things like this. So what can we do? Rolex, founded in 1095. That's not a typing error. That's the correct year. Is the world's branding, design, manufacturing, and sale of luxurious watches. It is ranked 64th position by Forbes amongst the world's most powerful global brands. Serves the same niche segment of the consumer. Rolex company is capable of producing about 2,000 watches a day. Swiss-based company is well known for its technical perfection involving in the construction of the watches, metals it uses, and the use of precious stones, which make its products one of the most expensive ones in the world. So Rolex competitor Cartier, Breguet, and Rutger Hauer, Tag Heuer. So promotions in the marketing mix of Rolex. Rolex has always branded its products as luxurious, and owning it is a status symbol. Its product line is marketed only to a particular demographic, which is uber rich. However, Rolex is always interested in linking its watches to a particular high-profile sport or event. The company promotes the watch as a specialized product for every individual consumer. The goal of the brand is to persuade the customers that there is only one suitable watch for him, and that is a Rolex. Right, now we've touched on this before because I asked about this when we were saying Rolex and sports events, or using sports events for promotions, and one has to fit the other. Yes, I know I'm generalizing and trying not to upset the football fans, of which there are so many, but if you consider the average, can we do that? The average football person, the person that is a football fan that's watching a football match, how many of those people are likely to have Rolex? And yeah, maybe some, I don't doubt it, but it's not necessarily the place where you're going to get a lot of people being interested in Rolex. And although the time is important in certain sports like football, it's not as much, it's not down to the microsecond. So others may be, the time and the sport may be more appropriate. So the Australian Open and Wimbledon, so tennis, which I think we can generally consider as a more, upmarket sport, rather than of the masses. They've made Rolex as the tournament's timekeepers, so the actual time done by those is Rolex, so it's there for that. It's also the official timekeeper for the golf tournament, the US Open, the Open Championships, sponsors the Senior Open Championships and the world's Women's World Golf rankings. And it's the title sponsor to Rolex Sports Car Series and the 24 Hours of Daytona. Since 2001, Rolex has been the timekeeper for the motor racing Le Mans 24 Hour, and in 2013 became the timekeeper for Formula One. Rolls-Royce. Right, so we've gone from motorbikes to watches. Rolls-Royce. How do you do promotions with Rolls-Royce? Rolls-Royce has positioned itself as a premium brand with global acceptance since its inception. It has been able to create powerful, aspirational brand value and consumer mindset. Rolls-Royce has several popular taglines attached with its brand, including "like nothing else on earth" and "trusted to deliver excellence." The brand has been projected as a classic vehicle with very high value, and hence it is a customized automobile that is tailor-made to suit the needs of its owner. Rolls-Royce has adopted a personalized and selective marketing policy for its vehicles. Its promotional tools include a display at high-profile gatherings, premium hotels, and exclusive auto expos. Rolls-Royce caters to a very exclusive and niche market and depends heavily on mouth-to-mouth advertising from satisfied clients who unwittingly become its brand ambassadors and marketing agents. And in case you didn't know, Rolls-Royce actually it does have a sort of a unique thing. You cannot order a new Rolls-Royce unless you already owned a Rolls-Royce. People say, how can you buy a Rolls-Royce if you've not owned one before? Well, you buy a second-hand Rolls-Royce, register with the Rolls-Royce Owners Club, and then you can then put in an order for a new Rolls-Royce. The only other way is somebody else who is already a member of the club buys the Rolls-Royce and you buy it from them, but effectively getting a second-hand car. In other words, to buy a Rolls-Royce, you need to be a Rolls-Royce owner, which obviously is designed to show sort of exclusivity. It's literally not for anyone of having a brand new Rolls-Royce. But it also shows that they do and are able to do certain promotional tools or happenings in order to promote the brand, which is what they do. Again, you have to think it's the kind of things that are relevant to the brand. It's got to be something that is befitting of the brand. And obviously this is very delicate when we're talking of things of luxury brands. The value of the brand is linked to its perception sort of in the minds of the consumer in the world of where it is. This thing of positioning that we mentioned, where is it? It's up there. And by bringing it down into other areas to sell it off, that would ruin that. In other words, it would cost money, it would lose brand equity. So In other words, doing promotions for luxury brands is a very delicate affair. It can be done, but they've got to be, in this case, high-profile gatherings, premium hotels, exclusive auto expos, rather than just regular car shows. You can't just have them. It would dilute the brand, as they say. Rolls-Royce Wraith on display in Harrods shop window. So Harrods window display, which is a magnet for London visitors and luxury consumers from around the world, has housed a number of ultra-exclusive products down the years, including a crystal tub from Baldi, an Lexus CT200H, and of course the Rolls-Royce Wraith. So these are promotions that are done within that particular store over a period of time, either for a month or longer. I went to Harrods last year and the Rolls-Royce wasn't there, so they're obviously doing another kind of thing. But again, ask yourself, does the product suit the thing, the surroundings and the place that the promotion is being held? Well, of course it does. It's Harrods. It works both well for Harrods of having this brand there as a window display, and also it works for Rolls-Royce being in Harrods, so it's actually mutually beneficial for both. One supports the other. And obviously a lot of very wealthy people shop at Harrods. How luxury brands build brand loyalty? Well, we can see some things here. The Ritz-Carlton Rewards Platinum. So, cards in this case. Loyalty programs for luxury brands. Luxury brand marketers who are considering loyalty programs are often concerned that they won't align with the image or appeal of the brands. Traditional spend and get loyalty program reward customers with discounts and couponing, which may luxury brands would argue cheapen their offering. However, the most effective luxury loyalty program in marketing today has got beyond discounting to provide for their members. In addition, consumers' expectations are changing from a luxury retail experience perspective. According to a recent Deloitte Fashion and Luxury report, findings indicate 39% of luxury consumers want accessibility to more shopping channels, for example, home delivery. 44% want to be rewarded with gifts in exchange for their loyalty. 45% want more personalized services and goods. So in order to meet customer expectations and drive loyalty, specific strategies should be in place for luxury brands. There are some unique tactics luxury brands can implement in their loyalty offerings to encourage greater spending retention from customers. So the reality, loyalty programs can provide huge benefits to luxury brands. Like most things, a loyalty program is viewed how you market it. You need to add and remove things that will make the program synonymous with your brand's image. For example, just changing the name from a loyalty program to a rewards program immediately makes the program sound more prestigious. There are many ways you can tailor a program for a luxury brand so that it ends up looking like a well-fit. So, strategy for luxury brand loyalty. Don't focus on providing customer discounts. While shoppers don't associate loyalty programs with cheap, non-luxury goods, they may draw an association between discounts and cheap goods. So, imagining seeing the following on a luxury brand site: big savings, 30% off the entire stock. Yes, so heavily discounting, and the overall look luxury brands would not use this type of marketing. And they wouldn't use it in their reward program either. So, can't do it in either place. So, instead of using points to discount, a luxury brand should use the points to add value. One way is to use the next example. Provide exclusive experiences and products. Instead of using points to give customers a discount, a luxury brand can let customers redeem points for products or special experiences. In these scenarios, you are providing value through addition rather than subtraction. Yes, you are giving them something else. Provide added benefits instead of using only discounts. They're not there for the discounts. People aren't buying these things because they are cheap. But the fact that someone has spent the full price on your product, then give them some kind of reward for it. Then they would appreciate it. I suppose if you went out, well, no, I'd say me, if I went out and bought an Aston Martin, I would be quite pleased if they turned up and said, we've made you a very nice jacket with the Aston Martin insignia on it for you, and it's free. I would think that would be quite a nice thing. Not the fact that if I could afford the 300,000 for the Aston Martin, I could probably afford the 200 or 300 for the jacket. But the fact that they have given me that, I think would be a nice thing. So it would be a nice promotion. But the £300 jacket or €300 jacket would not be the reason why I would spend €300,000 on the car, obviously. Like the decision's already been made, if you understand the point. We've made the decision to buy it. It's rewarding that decision. It's a bit like conditioning, is rewarding a dog with a prize when it does something right. It's that kind of thing. But it kind of works because the idea is to build this loyalty. Oh, they've done that for me. This reciprocity, that word, reciprocity. It wants us to reciprocate. They've done a nice thing for us. We'll do a nice thing for them. We will consider them the same place or brand to buy from them the next time. Creating loyalty, staying with the company longer, rather than trying to make us buy it in the first place. Maybe that's the difference. Right. So this one, LVR privilege. The loyalty program has attracted top spenders, which led to an increase of 10% in AOV and a whopping 4.7% growth in turnover. In addition to rewarding purchase with profits, their loyalty program combats discount fatigue by offering rewards for soft customers and compelling a customer profile, connecting through social media, products, and so on. So they do that for us, and we'll help you out. Special privilege includes secret promo days, birthday gifts, and invitation to exclusive events. In other words, something that would make you feel special. Imagine if you have bought a Ferrari, and then that gives you access to only a particular place that only people that have bought Ferraris can go to. Then you would feel that they are your people, as it were. So more inclined to continue with that. So why does it work? The LVR privilege program fits in with the image of the Italian luxury fashion retailer. Louis Vuitton, can't remember what the R stands for. It's a stellar example of a loyalty program that rewards a variety of customer actions in addition to purchase. The benefits are constructed in such a way that luxury shoppers see each tier as giving them access to exclusive and valuable rewards, which encourages a deep level of emotional engagement with the brand and its products. We've got a look here at Swarovski, and this is a really good example of luxury in the sense that of how they managed to develop an entire image around this. Swarovski sell particular things that aren't jewelry. They're not a jewelers. They kind of position themselves in the mind of the consumers that they are, but it isn't, because obviously they don't actually sell jewels. What they are is crystals. And yeah, they have some nice products, they're very attractive, and they're very expensive for what they are. Therefore, to maintain this, very easily they could drop their prices and do discounts, but the problem is they would then be putting themselves effectively saying, well, okay, we're not really jewelers and we are the same as those cheap glass products that you can buy in Chinese stores. And that would be very detrimental to the brand. They're in a very strange position, really, of being luxury without real luxury. So they've got to be very careful. So what they cannot do is start doing discounts and anything that would reduce their prices. That is where they're in a very, very niche market. They're in a very delicate situation. So what they have is this, a members only collective that offers exclusive gifts and rewards, inside only events, and surprises. So they get particular rewards, which are obviously with Swarovski. So particular products that you can't get anywhere else. You can't buy in the stores. You have to be a member of this group to be able to get them. So with their rewards, you can get discount vouchers to be able to use, but once you've joined the group, and then it gives you discount to some of their products. Rather than reducing them in the store, you won't see 20% off in the store. A loyalty gift voucher for buying so many products. Birthday surprises, so you get something for your birthday. Fashion news, other priorities, invitations. So lots and lots of benefits by doing this. Because arguably nobody needs a Swarovski product. So this is a tactic that's become popular with many luxury brand programs, such as Sephira's Beauty Inside program, Starwood, Starbucks My Rewards. When shoppers redeem points for your luxury goods, there's no disassociation from the luxury image you're trying to achieve. An even stronger way to let customers redeem points is with points-only products. So these are products that aren't available to be purchased in the store. In other words, somebody can't go in the store and buy the same product. Only the people that have accumulated the points are actually allowed to buy those special products. So these type of products create an additional layer of exclusivity that your customers will love. Luxury brand customers value status and uniqueness that these give to them. So make the loyalty points prestigious. Another best practice with a luxury brand loyalty program is to name the program and points to reflect your brand image. Points sound boring and generic, not the image your brand is going for. Instead, give your points a creative name. Come up with a creative name for your rewards program. Starbucks, for example, call their points stars, which sound more luxurious than points. Sephora uses points, but they have a program name that matches their brand and shoppers, the Beauty Insider program. And the last point recommendation about a number of points you reward. The number of points you give can impact the way your customers perceive your promotion as well. If you give a lot of points away, they don't seem as rare. So luxury brand shoppers prefer things that they can get. Reward a smaller amount of points that are worth more rather than a bunch of points worth a cent each. Create status-driven VIP tiers, on different tiers or levels. A tiered program is a way to reward more of your most loyal and profitable customers, while at the same time encourage other customers to join. A tiered program for a luxury brand ideally has a tier that is only obtainable by a very select few, around 5%. This tier is highly motivating for a luxury brand shopper. They want to achieve the highest status they can, but they don't want others to be there with them. So luxury loyalty tiers, as an example, we have the top 5 being the best at 5%, 30% of the other, 65% of the rest. So having multiple tiers that repeat customers can move through in order to build up their status they feel on your site. Just make sure that it's eventually possible that the elite status that they can strive towards and aspire to be is actually achievable and is worth it. They want to be able to get something for it that they've gone through. Don't forget, these are people who are spending a lot of money with you. You have them, therefore they're in a position to keep that going, so reward them for that. Remember, it costs between 5 and 7 times more to get a new customer than to keep an existing one. And if you've got an existing one who's certainly spending quite a bit of money with you, they're definitely well worth keeping. So spend some money on the program and give them some benefits from time to time. Right, despite the myth, customer retention is something luxury brands cannot ignore. According to Luxury Daily, the majority of a luxury brand's profits come from the top few percent of their customers. But these brands fail to retain even half of their customers each year. So luxury brands are failing to retain even half of their top customers every year. So this is where a customer retention strategy fits perfectly with a program. It's one of the many strategies you can use to keep more customers. Not actually get, but keep customers. And that is all we have for now. So that actually is the end of the course. We've looked at all kinds of promotional techniques, and last of all, with luxury brands as well, and the things that we have to consider, and that they are different. So we have some questions for you on conversations. So I shall see you there shortly, and then I shall read your exam with interest. So thank you for the course, and maybe see you on my next course. Thank you. Bye-bye.